Unit 10. Build up. Reading is a great way to build up your knowledge. Pass up. We can't pass up a chance like this. Pick up. In the end, taxpayers will have to pick up the bill. Come by. Tickets for her concerts are hard to come by. Point to. She pointed to the fact that online advertising continues to grow. Sink in. Her eyes widened as the meaning of his words sank in. Drum up. The new CEO drummed up business by changing the sales process. Trip over. I tripped over the curb and fell down on my face. Drag out. They dragged out the negotiations for as long as possible. Let down. The team lost 3 matches in a row and let the fans down. Mark out. A cycle lane is marked out on the road. Paper over. We can't solve the problem by papering it over.
Leaf through. The man leafed through the book to find the picture. Nail down. After long negotiations, they nailed down the agreement. Shove around. He's always shoving me around and finding my faults. Take 2. I took to him when I first saw him. Float around. Bad rumors are floating around about the politician. Draw on. In his novels, he draws on his life experiences as an actor. Deal out. Relief supplies were dealt out to the sufferers. Firm up. We still have to firm up some details. Descend on. Thousands of fans descended on the city to watch the final. Claw back. The company is making plans to claw back customers. Eke out. He is eking out a living by doing several part-time jobs. Pipe down. The teacher told the students to pipe down during the ceremony.
Carve up. The territory was once carved up by the European powers. Perk up. The song will certainly perk them up. Phase out. The company has been phasing out its overseas businesses. Follow through. We managed to follow through with all our promises. Belt out. The singer was belting out his old hits on stage. Box up. I boxed up old magazines and put them in the closet. Crouch down. She crouched down and spoke to the boy. Gain on. He began to gain on the front runner. Trim down. We must trim down the unnecessary expenditures. Scratch out. The mistakes were scratched out and corrected. Mark up. The company marked up all their products. Keep after. My wife keeps after me to go on a diet.
Dash off. I dashed off a message to him. Fade in. When this function is on, each song fades in at the start. Barge into. He barged into my room without knocking. Strike off. He threatened to strike off my head. Draw in. This film drew me in from the first scene. Knuckle under. They wouldn't knuckle under to any threats. At large. The government should serve the interests of society at large. Take out. She took out a 30-year mortgage. Settle on. I haven't settled on a gift for him yet. Suck up. He's always sucking up to his boss to get a pay raise. Hold out for. We offered him a 3-year contract, but he held out for 5 years. Chase up. I chased up my order and found it was out of stock.
Stand in. I have to stand in for her while she is on vacation. Vouch for. I can vouch for the accuracy of the information. Run off with. My wife left me and ran off with another man. Get down to. He decided to get down to learning French. Smooth down. I smoothed down the surface with sandpaper and then painted it. Choke back. She looked up as she choked back tears. Dabble in. He dabbled in piano but gave up after a few months. Flip out. My father flipped out when I told him that I quit school. Lop off. You need to lop off dead branches. Burn out. The fire burned out before firefighters arrived. Hike up. He hiked up his shirt and showed a scar on his stomach. Nose around. The police started nosing around about the incident.
Fan out. The police fanned out across the city in search of the suspect. Hold up. The country's economy is holding up very well. Puzzle over. I've been puzzling over the problem for more than a week. Branch out. The company branched out into online sales. Beat up. The robber beat him up and took his bag. Laden with. Passengers laden with luggage are standing in line at the taxi stand. Chip off. I have to chip off the old paint first. Get in on. Many companies are trying to get in on that market. Put in for. I'm going to put in for the scholarship. Trip up. There was a question to trip you up in the exam. Bottom out. The economy will bottom out early next year. Spruce up. He spruced himself up for the ceremony.
Bottle up. She tends to bottle up her emotions. Reckon on. I don't reckon on their help at all. Wallow in. He was very rich and wallowed in luxury at that time. Jot down. I jotted down her email address so we could keep in touch. Get away with. The boy thinks he can get away with being lazy. Wring out. He wrung the wet shirt out by hand. Turn to. He turned to alcohol to relieve stress. Polish off. They polished off 3 bottles of wine. Walk out on. He suddenly walked out on both his family and his job. Put forward. I'd like to put forward some ideas for further discussion. Shake up. The news shook up the sports world. Snuff out. The government tried to snuff out the democratic protest.
Drop off. I dropped the papers off at City Hall. Rein in. Every airline struggles to rein in fuel spending. Pick on. I hate him because he's always picking on me. Skirt around. We skirted around the downtown area. Coop up. After being cooped up in a car for hours, the kids were really bored. Shove off. She told me to shove off for a while. Mete out. A severe punishment was meted out to the organizer of the crime. Fall into. Music falls into 2 categories, good and bad. Stir up. The issue stirred up nationalist feelings among the people. Ferret out. The country is eager to ferret out terrorists. Stick around. Let's stick around and see what happens next. Shoot down. The professor shot down the student's idea.
Tear down. The building was torn down and is now a parking lot. Fall back on. Most of the homeless have no family to fall back on. Snap up. You should snap up that limited edition while it's available. Hit the roof. He hit the roof when his daughter told him she would get married. Put off. Insufficient parking can put off shoppers. Stand out. All the guys were good looking, but one stood out from the rest. Pull the plug on. The company pulled the plug on the unprofitable business. In no way. We are in no way responsible for the content. Take in. We took a walk down the beach, taking in the beautiful sunset. Rest assured that You can rest assured that your secrets are safe. Strike down. The court struck down the law, saying it violated freedom of speech. Saddle A with B. Japan is saddled with huge budget deficits.
Sleep on it. I'll sleep on it before making a decision. A shred of. There is not a shred of evidence to back up his claim. Flip through. I flipped through the catalog, but nothing caught my eye. Hold off. You can buy one now or hold off until an update is released. Hold back. I wanted to tell him I loved him, but I held back, afraid of being rejected. Mess up. The stupid ending messed up the whole movie. Cut back. She proposed that the company cut back staff. Pass down. This story has been passed down from generation to generation in our town. Walk out. They walked out in protest against a pay cut. No nothing. I have no job, no friends, no nothing. Follow up. The police promised to follow up the case. Blow up. My father often blows up at me for no reason.
Add up to. The total costs added up to over 3 million yen. Pass over. He was passed over for a promotion, though he deserved one. Back down. She backed down in the end and admitted her defeat. Lay down. At the camp, we let the children lay down their own rules. Single out. She was singled out for promotion. Lag behind. The country lags behind its neighboring countries in the field of technology. Chip in. They all chipped in to help her pay for her surgery. Put down. I put down a $10,000 deposit on the house. Pull through. It is a miracle that the patient pulled through. Abide by. If you fail to abide by the law, you will be punished. Identify with. Sports fans identify with their team and favorite players. Hold over. The final decision was held over until April.
Sound off. Several members sounded off on the decision. Butt in. Sorry to butt in, but I have a question. Stick up for. I'll stick up for you no matter what happens. Poke around. I don't want anyone poking around in my private affairs. Win over. I tried to win him over to my way of thinking. Narrow down. I'm looking for a new car and have narrowed down the choices to 3. Fall flat. The movie was pretty interesting, but the ending fell flat. Measure up to. This novel doesn't measure up to his previous works. Launch into. He launched into a detailed description of his theory. Step down. He announced that he will step down as CEO next month. Interfere with. A microwave can interfere with a wireless LAN. Mark down. Everything in the shop was marked down to half price.
Wind down. The war finally began to wind down. Distract A from B. She tried to distract him from his studies. Adhere to. We will have less accidents if we adhere to traffic rules. Whip up. He whipped up breakfast for me. Butter up. It's no use trying to butter me up. Spin off. This anime spun off 2 additional series. Own up to. The athlete owned up to using steroids. Spring up. New hotels are springing up in Tokyo. Skim off. Big companies skim off the best students. Simmer down. He got mad but simmered down after a while. Mess with. The program will run automatically, so you don't have to mess with the settings. Embark on. Before embarking on a career in journalism, he worked as a diplomat. Data file. Charitable. manageable, memorable, movable, profitable, questionable, countless, flightless, hapless, harmless, jobless, merciless, pointless, restless, worthless, broaden, fatten, frighten, heighten, lengthen, lessen, liken, shorten, sicken, strengthen, threaten, weaken, doubtful, faithful, harmful, mindful, painful, rightful, thoughtful, truthful, wrongful, interviewee, nominee, refugee, codify, crucify, dignify, intensify, purify, simplify, solidify, testify.